Hey, I'm Jay Beershank. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're here for another edition of book reviews. We're looking at my little yard and my house here, my hammock. Here's my house over there, a little tent on a platform. Anyway, today we have a great book. It is a kind of like a classic and a cult classic in a way. There's a huge following of people that are very, very into this author and have reinterpreted many of his ideas. So it's going to be interesting to go over this book. And that book is The Operating Manual for Spaceship Earth by Buckminster Fuller. So let's just start off. I want to be completely honest. I did not really enjoy this book, honestly. I'm reviewing it more for the cultural significance, but I feel like if you're going to write what he calls the operating manual for, the common man, and he even says I'm going to write this book in layman terms, anybody who reads this book will quickly see that he is not speaking in layman terms. I think the wordsmithing is next level. It's really just amazing how he can put these words together and try to like rope so many concepts into a lasso to give you something that makes sense. And I think people could understand it. Like, I understood the way that he was talking, and I thought it was cool because I like how you can play with language and use, this like huge, interesting vocabulary to try to paint really amazing, intricate pictures. But that's not layman terms, So this operating manual that he wrote would not be readable to a vast majority of the public, or at least the public in general, which I think is the whole point. So that, to me, was very annoying about this book, is I felt like the information portrayed is all about synergy. It's about how there are ways that we can live upon the earth where we can provide everything that is needed for everyone to be everything that they can be in a way that's completely sustainable for ourselves and the earth. So it's a very, very lofty, valuable manual, right? It's very important what he's trying to describe our potential as, but then to put it in a way that is so hard to understand for the average person, not necessarily because of any other reason rather than the language he chose to use. I feel like he chose to speak in a certain way that gratified himself, because when you have a huge vocabulary and you are really creative and can interpret metaphors in a way, then you can use these words. It's like he was saying things, like, here's just an example, this isn't exact, but like, the synergy of interconnected, dissimilar associates for the integrated, oriented goal of the whole, and like all this stuff, and it's just like, you can think about it for a second and understand it, but that was my biggest qualm with the book. But I still really enjoyed the book, and I thought it was interesting. I think that if you're someone who already believes in the concept that I stated earlier about the synergetic potential revolving around electromagnetic energy and that kind of a thing, and the power that can provide and we can harness, you're already sort of familiar with those ideas, I don't really think that this book is that valuable to you. But if you're someone who's never ever thought about the potential of abundance, then it's a very interesting book, and it will open your eyes wide open. It's a very short read. It's only about 130 pages or something. And if you're into wordsmithing, then you'll love the way that he writes. I think it's fun to just see how far someone can stretch their potential for wordsmithing and concept development. So that was really interesting. I really like there's a theory in this about basically how we came to where we are as a society, of our understanding of wealth, and how that one of the core concepts that needs to be rectified for us to be able to thrive is that we need to reevaluate what it means to have wealth and what wealth means to us. And his kind of creation story about these great pirates and like the specialization and the generalization story that he tells that led us to our understanding of current day wealth, I thought that was an interesting story. It's a bit of a stretch, that to think that these like seafaring generalist pirates, basically established a society, I guess, you know. Like, well, I don't know, it's sort of a interesting concept, but anyway, that's the first or second chapter, and I really enjoyed reading that. There is a few chapters or a few, you know, sections in the book that were just like impossible for me to even comprehend, because he is a very smart man and he's a scientist, you know, and the way that he speaks and his understanding of things is so much more broad and in depth than mine. And when I say broad and in depth, I mean he understands so much more and in such a deeper way that when he's referring to things so casually, I didn't really understand a lot of that when it came to geometry and these things. But yeah, it's very interesting. I think that, you know, diving deep into the man himself and looking at his designs and understanding kind of his ideas around the movement of energy and like the most efficient ways for energy to be transferred in a shape is very interesting. And like, there's a company that my family started quite some time ago now called GeoShip, and with GeoShip we build geodesic domes, and Buckminster Fuller is kind of like the father of the geodesic dome. So it's interesting, and that's why I read this book, because Buckminster Fuller has been someone that I've heard about over the past 10 years from my family quite a bit, just because we're using, you know, one of his designs sort of, and just his concepts and things are very interesting. He has this one quote that I really like, and it's something along the lines of, if you want to change a system, you can't tell people the right way, you have to give them a new system that makes the old system obsolete. So it's kind of like, you know, you gotta just walk the walk, and as people see that the path you're walking is easier and better, or maybe not easier, but just a better way to walk, then they'll just walk that way. Instead of trying to tell them, you have to show them or give them a tool that then makes the old way of thinking, living, or being obsolete. So I really enjoy that. So anyway, I would check it out just for the cultural significance. You can talk to people about it, and it's just a nice one to have in your repertoire. Operating Manual for Spaceship Earth by Buckminster Fuller. Thanks for watching. Peace out from Nevada County, California. Don't forget to like, subscribe.